Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Awaken Way podcast. In this episode, my content curator, Christy, has repurposed one of my monthly connection gatherings with two really excellent examples of how those across the veil set us up sometimes when we do mediumship readings. She has chosen two back-to-back readings that I did with outstanding evidence that shows us that the greater reality is very real. A lot of teaching points for those of you who are interested in connecting on your own across the veil, and those of you who are working as mediums, but also just some real wows that show us how spirit interacts in our lives and is so very present in our lives. I hope you'll stick around to the end, because Christy also included in here a special healing session that I guide you through. You'll be able to do it yourself, even though this was recorded previously. And then I will channel my guide, SANAYA. Of course, this was already recorded, but the message is as timely as ever. And I hope that you will feel their energy as they share what all of us can always benefit from hearing. So please enjoy this rather short podcast, runs about half an hour, but lots of gold nuggets throughout. Here we go. Part of this journey is coming to trust spirit and know they will never let us down. And then the more you get in the trusting state, the more your connections flow and you don't stop with just little snatching bits. That's what we call it, what baby mediums do, snatching. You get layers and you get that flow. So I wanted to give a couple examples of how spirit flowed not only in the readings, but setting up a couple of readings, two readings I did in a row. I think there may be a handful of you who are in the year-long mediumship certificate program with the Shift Network. I'm one of the guest instructors on there once a month. We ran a contest prior to the launch of my book up there, The Awakened Way. And the 5 top winners of the contest got a reading with me. And I've done 4 of those already since the book launched, still waiting to do the 5th one. But first person that came on was a male. And it's funny, I would say 5% of my clients are male, unless they come in with their wife. It's usually mostly women who want readings. So it was fun to have a younger male for my client. He was just a really wonderful sitter in that he was upbeat, and really, I mostly have wonderful sitters. I don't want to put it that way, but he wasn't in deep grief. So the energy was high to start with. And he had just a lot of people across the veil he wanted to hear from, but no, he wasn't dealing with any deep pain. So it was very, I don't want to say it was easier. It was just nice energy throughout. And this one man came in who I knew was not related to him. And indeed, it was a friend, this man who passed around the age of like a couple days shy of 100. And the coolest moment for me was when in this reading, my ankle started hurting. Now, what did I just talk about? The tickling in the hair. It was a tickle, but it was a sensation that was very unusual, almost electrical. This feeling where my ankle hurt was like an electrical spiral around my ankle. So if you're connecting with loved ones across the veil and you feel a symptom that's very unusual, they're doing that. They're giving you a frequency that creates the illusion of pain or a sensation in your body. Is your body really doing that? Is your body really solid? You come to learn that everything is a frequency. So I said to him, first of all, I was going, ow, ow, right? And I repeat it and I report what's going on. And then the pain or the symptom goes away. So I'm willing to put up with the momentary discomfort for a nice piece of evidence that this is the person you know across the veil. But my client didn't know anything about his friend having a problem with his ankle. And I said, I know this is from him, just because it's so unusual. And he said, well, I know somebody who will be able to validate that. And I think it was within an hour of doing the reading, I got an email back from him saying, I validated it. Turns out he had, what was it? A drop foot problem with his right ankle. And it was my right ankle. You know, something's wrong. And it kind of dragged that foot. What a great piece of evidence, especially when your client doesn't even know it. So again, when your client says no, that doesn't necessarily mean no, does it? But what I found out was the reason that this gentleman was such a good sitter was he's a student in the year-long certificate program. I found that out, and right away the human ego goes, uh-oh, this better be a good reading. I'd love you all to catch yourself when your ego does things like that. Because then the soul steps back and says, yeah, well, every reading better be a good reading, right? That's what we do. And so you don't let your ego put extra pressure on you. But I know that this is what made him such a good sitter, was when he didn't know the thing about the ankle, he didn't say, no, he just said, well, I'll have to look into that, or I'm not sure about that. I think I'll find out. This is the kind of thing that helps keep the energy high in a reading. Then I had lined up a reading for the next day. I believe this, I lined it up because it was another one of the contest winners. So the reading's all set to go 9 o'clock the next morning, and we found out that our RV, which we were traveling in at the time that I did this, on our way to here to Idaho, had to go in the shop all day for repairs. And that's our home, and that's where I do my readings from. Now, I have done readings in my car. Any mediums out there who think, oh, I couldn't do a reading in the car? Yes, you can. You don't have to have your sacred space. We can do readings just about anywhere, as long as it's not going to be too distracting. Especially now with Zoom, we can blur the background, right? Or just do a phone reading. But the problem is my entire pack was displaced. So I could not do a reading in the car with Ty and the 2 dogs. So I had to reschedule the reading, and I emailed the woman, didn't have her phone number. And I said, sorry about this. Can we delay until Sunday, same time? This was a Thursday. This was going to be on a Thursday. And she wrote back and she said, is that 9 a.m. Pacific time? I'm in Arizona, and that's Pacific time. Well, I had this claircognizant knowing we were in the same place, because I was in Arizona. Arizona is a very big state and has a bunch of big cities. And I reached out to her, I answered her email, and I said, where are you in Arizona? I just wanted the magic to continue a few more minutes, even though I knew. It was just that intuitive knowing by tapping in. She reached out and she said, I'm in Flagstaff, Arizona. And I said, well, so am I. How would you like to do this reading in person? Within 30 minutes, I was sitting in her living room on the original date. We were supposed to do it on Thursday to do this reading. We were both just shaking our heads. The entire country of the United States, this woman could have been in, and we were in the same city. So that is a setup from spirit. And indeed, during the reading, her loved ones said, we pushed you, my client, to say, I'm in Arizona. And they put in my head, because they were already gathering the awareness, she's right here. So this is what I'm talking about, flow, and absolutely a setup from spirit. So it was wonderful, because she also had quite a crowd of loved ones across the veil. The first person that came through, this is just a lesson in flow. I gave her about 5 pieces of evidence. This is a man, and I don't want to go into specifics of her reading, but she was shaking her head like she wasn't quite sure who it was. Now I'm going to change the name for confidentiality sake, but all of a sudden this man shouted, John. And she goes, oh, that's my father-in-law. And I said, now go back to the 5 things that I already said. Is that your father-in-law? She says, oh yeah, everything matches him. See, we get into this mindset of looking for our own father or our grandfather. If I say I have a father here, and we don't think of in-laws a lot. So what was beautiful here is that I don't often get names, but when they are given with that solidness like that, John, spirit does that to make a point and to clarify. So we got a bunch more stuff from John, and I got pulled over to where mothers and grandmothers normally are. And I brought through quite a bit of information, and she said, well, that sounds like my mother-in-law, except for those 3 things out of the 8 that you just gave me. And all of a sudden this woman yelled, I'll make up the name, Betty. And she goes, oh, Betty is my father-in-law's sister, my mother-in-law's sister-in-law. I was getting confused, but I said, do those three things that didn't match your mother-in-law match Betty? And she said, oh, absolutely. So we were having a family reunion, but not the normal players that we would expect in a reading. So again, just staying in the flow, trusting spirit, even when your client says, gosh, 3 of those 8 things didn't match, you just flow with it, and spirit will help you, as they did with me, giving me the names when I needed them. Then, without even sensing another person, I hear the name Joe. I mean, just boom, like that. And she goes, oh, that's an ex-boyfriend. I haven't thought of him in years. So I said, well, let's see if he's actually here. And I sensed his personality and several things about him flowing, and everybody's still in spirit, kind of like the Whoopi Goldberg scene in Ghost with all the people standing behind her and everybody wants to talk at once. And then one of her loved ones who had came through, showed me a garbage bag, just like we had in the bus where we were traveling. And for those of you not in America, you might not know, we have a brand of trash bags called Force Flex, and they have these handles and you can tie them and pull them on the trash bag. And I was shown that by the spirit across the veil, and I knew. He didn't even have to show me. I said, I hear that you just tied up a garbage bag this morning and carried it outside. And she said, yeah, it's trash day. Now, I had not seen the trash coming in, but again, we always educate our clients. Well, that means that your father-in-law was hanging around even before the reading and saw you do that. So they don't just pop in during the reading. We are around all the time when we're thinking of you. So I thought that was fun. Now, that's when they showed me, we're the ones that brought you together, set you up to meet here in person in Flagstaff. And I said, they're showing me there's a British connection with you, but I don't feel that your family is British. She said, that's right. And I said to her, trying to figure out what this British connection was, I said, have you been to Arthur Findlay College? And she said, no, but I'm in that year-long certificate course with you. 2 days in a row. Students from the course, and there are only about 200 people in the course, but that's quite a coincidence that 2 of my sitters 2 days in a row. And I said, well, there's your British connection, because the whole course is led by Mavis's wife, Jean Else. And a lot of the tutors are British. And she told me that she had actually made a connection with Mavis across the veil as a mediumship student. And I said, well, I have no doubt that Mavis is helping so many students of mediumship. And as I said that, Mavis stepped into the reading. And my client said that she sensed when Mavis stepped in, she smelled cigarette smoke, and she sensed that Mavis was a smoker, but she couldn't validate it with anyone. And I said, oh, I can validate that. And I know Bev can validate that, because we hosted Mavis in the US several times, and Mavis was a chain smoker. On every single break, you had to take breaks so Mavis could get a cigarette. Well, by this time, my client had figured that out as well after her visit with Mavis, because the very next day, she picked up my book, Droplets of God, the biography of Mavis, opened up to where she left off, and there was the paragraph that said, and Mavis took a break from teaching to go out and have a cigarette. And that's why Mavis brought it up to her, knowing that she would go back to the book and read that. Isn't it great how spirit sets us up? That's that big web that's part of living the awakened way, just recognizing that web connects all of us. And anybody who would be in any course connected with Mavis would be able to connect with her. So then her guides came in, and we can always get someone's guides in a reading if it serves their greater good, and showed us a guide for mediumship that she had. And this guide showed up as male with a wide brimmed hat. And she said, oh my gosh, I've actually seen him in my bedroom with the hat. I didn't realize he was my mediumship guide. And I thought, oh, that's so cool. And she said, can you ask them what I'm doing wrong in my mediumship? And this was another discussion I wanted to have with all of you. So even though these stories of evidence that I share with you go on a little long, it's all about the teaching and the celebrating. And as she asked, what am I doing wrong? My guides stepped in to join her guides. And the answer was, absolutely nothing. And this is what they want all of us to know. We really can't be doing anything wrong. When we realize that what we label wrong is part of a process of learning, even when we think we're failing, we're learning what not to do. And it's all part of our growth. This is very obvious, isn't it? But we push ourselves so hard and we feel we should be better. And that comes from comparing ourselves with others when our guides are just absolutely supporting our efforts 100% and love that we're trying it all to connect across the veil. Even if we're not professional mediums, we only want to connect with our own loved ones across the veil. You're not doing anything wrong at all. You're trying. You're doing your best. You're learning. And here you are this evening, learning even more. They just want us to know how very much they love us and they love any efforts that we make to connect. Number one, it shows that we recognize we are not only human, that we're beautiful souls right here, right now. But it led to some teaching to me that is just fantastic. And I know you will love this and it will help all of us in everything we do, but especially in our meditations and in connecting across the veil. And that is the difference between wanting something very badly and already knowing you have what you need. So many of my students come up and they say, but I want to connect. And I want to have a better connection. A mother like me, I really want to see spirits. I want you to engender in yourself right now this feeling of, I want this. Just say, I want whatever in regards to this work. Now feel that in your body. What happens to your body as you say, I want to connect? To me, I even go forward as I say it. I feel a clamping down in the gut and in the heart area and in the abdomen. Everything just goes, I want this, even my hands. I want to connect so badly. And I understand this. When my Susan passed, and she's up here in this picture up here, it was all I could think about. That was why I said every day, Susan, I want to connect with you so badly, until I realized that that energy is blocking the flow. And it's all about the flow. So how do you counter that? It goes back to this whole little section right here about recognizing that where you are right now is perfect and it's a process. We don't ever stop growing. You will always get better and better and better. And the less you want something and just realize I have what I need right now and I am progressing, that clenching and the blockage goes away. So I'd like you to now come up with words that work for you, such as, I have everything I need right now to progress. Just say that. I have everything I need right now to progress. How does that feel in your body? To me, it's a massive difference. And as I said that, SANAYA just said, and to us, it is a world of difference in what you are radiating. Okay? So think about anything. I want that new job. I want this house to sell. Can you feel the tension in that? And what if you just say, I have that new house. It's coming to me. I just haven't realized it yet. I have that perfect job. It's on its way. You're actually manifesting. You are creating the energy that will allow that to now come to you. This is just huge to understand that in wanting, we're blocking getting what we want. In realizing you have it, it just perhaps has not manifested. You've opened your field and now it can manifest. So this is all part of the flow and trusting spirit. They know what you want. So let's change our wants to an intention. For example, my intention is to have the clearest possible connection with spirit, however that unfolds. And I have that now, and I know that in the future, I will have it even better because that's what life is about. Can you feel the difference? So I hope that that's been helpful to you, been super helpful to me, as I recognize anytime that I'm in that little bit of clamped down state and just changing the thoughts, which of course takes awareness. Okay, so Sanaya would like to talk to all of you, but only after we all do a little healing for each other. I have no clue what they're going to talk about, and they've just about twitched my lip there saying, we've got this, and they always do. So we're going to take this opportunity to realize that we all are channels for spirit to send healing energy to each other. And that when we get the focus off ourselves and our own needs and wants and think only of others, we actually receive more. So even though I know there are a lot of us going through challenges, and you may have some physical or mental or emotional challenges going on right now, know that you are about to receive healing from this beautiful group of souls gathered here. So don't worry about yourself. You be a healer for everybody else, and miracles happen. That's our goal. So all you need to do, and you can hold your hands out or not, that sometimes helps us focus the energy going outwards. But I'll lead you through a nice, beautiful, slow breath to relax fully. Set the intention now of being a beautiful conduit for spirit to work through you. I'll guide you through that. And as you're sending the healing energy, I'm going to be asking Sanaya to fully merge with me. They've been over here during the webinar helping me answer questions, but I'm going to ask them to step in. And after you are sending healing energy to each other for a minute or two, at some point, they'll just start talking to you for a few minutes, and we'll see what they have to say. And then we'll come back in and get on with the evening. Okay? So let's all just, and you can open your eyes when they start coming in or not. But for now, let's just close our eyes to get centered. Picture a shaft of white light that connects you to the heavens and down into the earth. And that light is the life force that is always flowing through you from above and from below, perfectly balanced in you right now. Taking a nice slow breath through the nose into the count of 4, 2, 3, 4, and now exhale to the count of 6 through the mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now feeling beautifully relaxed, we set the intention that spirit flow through us, bringing the highest healing energy from the cosmos, from our own higher selves, to flow through this vessel of the human body, out going towards anybody in this group or anyone in their soul family that is in need of healing this evening. May healing be taking place now through all of us. Good evening to all of you. We could have you continue to send healing energy, but understand that your hearts are wide open now and healing has taken place. It is not a matter of how long you allow this stream of energy to go, but the intention behind it. And now we will add a bit of a teaching that came through in the last channeling session we did, not for this group, but for a smaller group, that you may now shut off that stream of healing energy and know that healing has taken place. We do not want you to feel drained or worry that you must keep this stream going, but to see it leaving you like a streamer, and it has been received, and now you are being replenished by that energy. We wish to tell you and to accentuate the truth that when you go into a location that is unfamiliar to you, it does take the physical body and the other bodies related to you energetically, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of them, a bit of time to adjust to the new energy. The example we are bringing up now is that Suzanne is in a house that is new to her, and she has been experiencing a difference in the connection. And we wish to tell all of you that this is a very real phenomenon for you all. When you go to visit someone and you stay in another's house, when you go to a hotel or perhaps a hospital, you become aware that you are not feeling yourself. This is because the energy is not in resonance with you. You have not yet created a resonance and come into a coherent state with the energy there. This is slowly happening for Suzanne here in this house. We did tell her earlier to use some sage, and in her busyness, getting her new nest in order, she did forget to do it. But we will tell you that for the 3 to 4 days she has been in this house, it has been quite challenging for us to get the daily messages through to her. She did feel a bit of a fright. Have I lost it? And we are sharing this with you publicly now so that you know that you are not alone when you hear and feel these sensations in yourself, that this is quite natural, and that given time, you will settle in energetically. Hear us well, that doing this session tonight has allowed that your healing energy to come into this space and heal this situation for the channel, for Suzanne. And we wish you to know that you can do this for yourself, cleansing any new energies for yourself, simply by calling in the higher guides to help bring you into balance in new situations. For those of you who go and dog sit for others, any situation that is new, do not think there is something wrong with you if your meditations are not what you are used to. If you find yourself acting in ways that are different than your so-called normal self, it is simply a fact that your energy field is not in resonance. So a bit of an energetic lesson this evening, and we hope that it also brings you peace of mind, that energy does flow and must be balanced, and that your state of connection, when it is not what you are used to, will always come back just in time for this channel to do readings. And so all of you have been part of a setup to help all of you, including the channel, to come back into balance. We hope that you have enjoyed this evening. It is not over yet. We will be standing in the wings to answer further questions, but know that your guides are always with you, always ready to answer questions. And if of your own, if you do not sense the answer, do not despair. Adjustments are always taking place. And through these tools that you are learning this evening and in your own studies at all times, you are all works in progress. And as you heard earlier in this evening, perfect exactly where and how you find yourself now. You are so very loved. We cherish each and every one of you, and thank you for your efforts to always turn up the light and live from the higher floors of your wholeness. We bid you good night. Oh, very cool. All right, great. They put me on report. I guess I better clear this room better. No, I don't need to now, right? I love you all so much. I'm so glad to be on this journey with you. Can't think of a better note to end on. I hope you enjoyed that. I thank Christy for choosing such beautiful stories, even though they happen to me. Every time I hear them, I'm just astounded by how the spirit world works. And you can connect yourself. That's my goal, to show you, number one, that mediumship is real. The greater reality is real, and you are part of it. The Awaken Way principles speak to this. They show us that we are not only human, we are all souls, and that's what makes these connections possible. Channeling my guides as I did is meant to imbue you with their higher energy and their messages to help raise your consciousness to make it easier for you to connect. These messages show that we're part of one big web connecting all that is. That's the second principle of the Awakened Way. And finally, that love is the healing and connecting force of the universe. I hope you could feel that love. We try to put some of that into every episode of this podcast that we do. And I hope you'll continue to join us. See you back here next week.